Nancy Johnston, welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom. I'm excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah. So, uh, so I gotta say again, when your application came in and it got past the team, and I saw it, I shared it with my wife, and your napkin hit home hard in our family, and I think that you really tapped into something. So let's read the napkin and let's dive in because I think you've got a great story. Solve a real problem, make it beautiful, and care like hell.
Yes.
Why did you share that with me?
Um, I shared it because that's sort of the ethos of our brand and our essence. I think for a business, if you don't have all three of those, you're not going to connect with people. You're not going to go far, and you're not going to get them as a repeat customer. So we really we really do solve a problem that most people live with every day. And traditional bedding has not been changed since really the invention of the fitted sheet in 1959 by Bertha Berman. And so we were just frustrated with that. And I said, there's got to be a solution. And there wasn't. So we just dove right in and created Truuce Bedding.
And the problem that you solve is a real problem. So here's tell me about your product. What
Yeah.
problem did you solve?
So I am a master seamstress and also a CPA by trade. And I had my college roommate, dear friend Carrie, reached out to me and she said, I am just so frustrated with bedding. My husband steals the sheets. I also do that too. I'm guilty. And they never stay on the mattress. And the duvet is just impossible to change. Can you create something for me? And seeing that it was the pandemic, I had a sewing and design business previously, and I said, "Sure, I have nothing to sew. Nobody's going out. There's no weddings. There's no uniforms to sew." So we got into kind of designing, and I thought, "Geez, there's got to be something on the market that fixes this because people live with bedding every single day, and there really wasn't." So we took about a year to address this problem, and there is solutions on the market for duvets, and there is solutions on the market for that try to address sheet issues coming off the bed and untucked. But there's really nothing that addresses all of the problems in one solution. So every time I would go to bed, I would start working, and I would, this is a pain point of sheets coming untucked, and how can we fix that? And this is a pain point of, washing the duvet. This is impossible. How can we help people save time and not be so frustrated?
Yeah. So what's really funny about it is I've always joked that Stacy, my wife, is Susie Hospital Corners because the
Okay.
bed is like immaculately made when she makes it, and I try to get close, and it's a resounding disappointment. But but you've de-risked it. You've created these very elegant solutions that
Thank you.
solve the problem,
Yes.
right? And here's what's really interesting is that it came to you with this COVID pivot, right? That
Yes.
the main line of work had sort of dried up a little.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that when it gets quiet, we become attentive, but when it's noisy, the same problem was there. The problem was there for 50 plus years because you said the fitted sheets were invented in 1959. The problem's been around for a while, but no one was listening.
No.
Isn't that interesting?
It's fantastic. Yeah. Um, and I think it comes out of a need that you just get so frustrated. Carrie was just so frustrated that, and I was able to help her. So um, we just really, I just started to sew to help her, and we realized that there was a potential business opportunity for this. And doing a lot of market research and seeing what was on the market, there really wasn't a lot. So yeah, we just decided to give it a go. And we're getting such great response from people. They're loving the solution.
Yeah. So your solution isn't just a different fitted sheet or a different top sheet. It's a whole bedding solution, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is a paradigm shift from traditional bedding. So we started with the fitted sheet. Why does not stay on the mattress? If you look at bedding in general and the bedroom and mattresses, there's been a lot of invention in mattresses and innovation. They've become a lot deeper. We have adjustable mattresses now. We never had adjustable beds. Also, just the bedroom and how we use our bedroom. Our kids are in their bedroom a lot more than they were back in the 60s and 70s and 80s when we grew up. You know, it was just your bedroom and that was it to go and sleep. Now they're playing in there. We binge watch in there. We relax in there. So we're on the bed as much as we are in between the covers. Bedding has to keep up with that and really hasn't changed. So we've kept the fitted sheet on the mattress with the new stretch band. We don't have to tuck in the sheets anymore. They zip together at the foot, but you have a lot of room to move. And then the best part is the duvet top, how we've integrated it. The flat sheet is the bottom of the duvet cover. So it's all connected as one. You don't have to stuff a duvet insert into this massive pillowcase design anymore. You just really layer everything down on the bed, and then you zip it up. And our zippers are great. Everything is really super durable. And then the best part that we didn't expect people to give us feedback on is in the morning, they want to start their day off like a hero and make the bed. And it's just easy pull up, just straighten the top layer and you're done and you're good to go. So yeah, there was a lot of feedback. We thought easy duvet, but there's a lot of sleep experience. The sleep experience is really outstanding with this.
Yeah. So it's not usual that I ask about the product when talking to someone about their paper napkin. But
Yes.
in your case, I think it really matters because, you know, um, I was a teenager and I was an expert in sleeping. Like
Yes.
I'm an expert. Got it down. I figured it out. I can do it right now. Like there's a chair over there. I could probably fall asleep in that chair. So, well, maybe not right now, but the idea is that we all think we understand how to use our beds. You're trying to innovate something that everyone touches. Everyone feels like they've got a way to make this work for them. How challenging was it to solve a real problem when everyone has their own perspective on it?
Yes, and that is the paradigm shift that we have to, as a company, have more social proof, because people are so used to traditional bedding, and so they really need to hear from others. This is fantastic. This works, um, and that it is a paradigm shift. But once you use the system, it's so intuitive that it is so super simple and easy to wash. And because we use the flat sheet as the bottom of the duvet cover, it's less laundry, so it's environmentally friendly, and more sustainable. And it's cooler to sleep in. And that's a big thing. Health and sleep has been such a focus, or it is, a lot of focus for people. Because if you don't have sleep, you can't tackle the issues of the day. Um, yeah, it really is an intimate thing. And it's funny when I talk to people in general, everybody's got a story about how they fight with their bedding. Uh, just this system solves a lot of those issues. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what's interesting is I think we as entrepreneurs do this a lot, right? We say, "How do we solve the problem?" And you went to social proof, which is selling the problem. How do you
Yes.
sell to
Yes.
someone once you've solved the problem?
Yes.
I'm actually asking to dial back to that COVID period to how did you create a blank slate? Because this is the thing. Everybody's got a paradigm, including you,
Yes.
about what a bed's supposed to look like and
Yes.
how setting that environment is supposed to look. How did you get creative about something that you've been doing your whole life?
Yes. It was addressing the problem and not looking at what the product is now. And we didn't start from where traditional bedding is now and shift from there. We started with the problem and went right to the solution. So we kind of pushed aside everything that was on the market, how traditional bedding works. And we just started with a couch cushion and we started to rip up fabric and what makes sense for people to be covered yet have freedom to move. Well, then traditional bedding doesn't make sense because the minute you move, it becomes all untucked and disheveled. So we really had to set aside, you know, what things were today and just reinvent it from a functional perspective.
Yeah. So you started at, let's call ground zero, which
Yes.
was the mattress or the cushion, and really thought about it. How many how did you have to did you find that you would get a part of the way along and then have to start all over again?
Yeah, so I started in a mini version and I would sort of pin it, sew it, and then I thought like, I think I got something. So I would sew a real version and then we would just test it. And I had, lots of people help me test it out and sleep with it. And really, you have to set aside all your bias and all your ego and really get the honest feedback about this works, this doesn't, and then go from there. So
How did you
yeah,
create the space for that? Because you're creating this, right? And
yes,
this is COVID, so you're probably leaning in a little more on friends and family
yeah,
who don't wanna hurt your feelings, know
yes,
that you're working on this. How did you create that safe space to get real feedback, again, on something that everybody knows how to do?
yes. Well, I'm lucky that my family's very honest. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they're not gonna, especially my kids, they're not gonna tell me it works. So I was very lucky, and I had to say, like, if you're not gonna tell me the truth, you're not doing me a favor. So you need to be honest about this, and that's hard to hear sometimes. Yeah, I was lucky that way,
That's
and
great.
it's an awesome MVP. Is there improvements that can be made? Sure. And but I really think we've got something with a few minor tweaks, it can be a better product. But yeah, we that's why we took a year and a bit to test this out and to get it right.
Okay. So setting aside ego, describe to me the process, because I think that people also, and I mean customers too, right? People have those suggestion boxes out, and people say, "Oh, tell us how we're doing," and nobody tells them because nobody
Yes.
really wants feedback. So let's 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 talk about how you set aside your ego to really open the door for real feedback, because I think there's a process there. And and you said it right at the top, like the first part of your napkin is solve a real problem.
Yes.
This is It's not a made up problem. You have to stay focused on the real problem and not get pot committed to the fact that you'd sort of found part of a solution that you really, really liked.
Yeah. It's I think that's where that last part of the napkin comes in, the caring like hell, because if if you don't if you don't care, you can't really listen, I don't think. And really absorbing and looking at it from that customer's perspective. And they'll give a suggestion, and the first thing out of my mouth usually, and I hope, is, I love this, tell me more. So to really understand the perspective they're coming in, the environment they're using it in, how they're sleeping and using the product, really matters to us. And we take that to heart. And I definitely take it to heart, because it is a creation that I want everyone to benefit from. And if it's not working, then let's talk about it, because that's just the way I like to work. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really great. And people know when it's sincere. When you say, I love
yes,
this, tell me more,
yes,
people know that, right?
yeah,
So I also like how the second phrase, "make it beautiful,"
yes,
came after solving the problem,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Because you can't make it beautiful and not solve the problem. That's not gonna work, right?
exactly. Especially bedding, if you don't like it and it doesn't look good in your room, you're not going to buy it, regardless of the functionality and how well it works. It's an aesthetic thing. It's a feel thing. It has to feel beautiful. It has to be, environmentally friendly and chemical free and all of those great things, because we're sleeping with this. And there's a lot of toxins in products these days. So we test all of our fabrics for chemicals, we use safe dyes, and we use sustainable environment and environmentally friendly manufacturing practices. So that's super important.
Yeah. So the talk about how again, you have a CPA background, right? So there's a precision,
Yes.
there's a detail, there's a structure and order to the way things are done,
Yes.
which you are seeking to change. So you're sort of your personality is at maybe at odds with each other a little bit, but also
Yes.
keeps you focused. How do you feel like your detail orientedness helped you along this journey?
Yeah. And so we wanted to issue a product that you could, eventually change the top, and you don't need to change the sheet. So it was super important that we got this right the first time. So we're not coming out with different products that don't fit together. So that's why we took the year and have to really test it out, and to make sure um, that all the details work together. Because when you sleep, you don't want to. We're trying to fix all the annoyances of of sheets, and when you sleep, and if we're not fixing that properly, then um, that's not going to be good enough. So yeah, it's just one thing at a time. Sewing is very meticulous, and actually putting it through the machine is the easy part. It's all of the measurements and the how it all works. So I guess that fits in with the CPA accounting background. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, measure twice, cut once
yeah,
kind of thing,
exactly.
right?
Yes,
So when I like the way you're talking, so I have a software technology background in the sense that we built a couple software companies over the years. And the way you're talking about testing bedding sounds, I had a product manager in one of the companies who said, testing and doing product testing is very anal work.
yes,
It's very methodical. Okay, check one thing. But then when if something fails, you have to go back and do the whole thing again and not assume anything. It sounds like you brought that precision product software style testing meticulousness to this.
yes, yes. Yeah, because being in design and construction of garments, there's a real process to that, and if you don't do it in the right methodical order, then it's not going to stay together, and it's not going to be a good quality product. So really thinking that through, and then manufacturing, every stitch and seam and zipper costs money. So to make this as economical as possible, I had to think about construction very, very closely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
neat. Um, you know, how did you go from CPA to master seamstress? Or
Yeah.
did you go from master seamstress to CPA? Like, how does like what's the journey look like?
Yeah. So coming out of college, I worked for consumer products companies in Toronto. Loved that. And then my husband was transferred to the US. He's also in consumer products. We met at work. And we're both in finance. So then unfortunately, my immigration papers didn't allow me to work. So I said, well, I can't sit around and do nothing. Um, but I can open my own business. And I saw a need at my daughter's school for uniforms, and parents were really stressed about, where do I go? And so expensive. So I said, I can do that. Then I got my master seamstress, and opened my own sewing and design shop. And then I was super busy, and the pandemic hit, and I had nothing to sew. So that's when we stumbled into a little more time, and Carrie with her problem. And I'm grateful that she came to me, because, yeah, this has now been a viable business for me. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how I like how you went from consumer products and you moved to the US for your husband's opportunity, and then found yourself in a situation where I can't work, but I can open a business. And necessity being the mother of invention, you created this opportunity around uniforms. How long did it take you to pivot when March 2020 rolls around schools are not happening. People don't need uniforms. They're not going to work as much, and they're certainly not. Most schools were very virtual at that point.
Yes.
Clearly, no one needs what you're stitching.
Right.
How long did it take you to hear this problem?
Well, funny enough, when the pandemic hit, I was really busy because I was sewing masks.
Oh, wow.
And I
Okay.
sold masks, yeah. And at first, it was like just sewing for anybody who needed a mask. And then I started to sell some masks, but then they became mainstream. So then it wasn't economical for me to sell masks. So um, that was sort of that was sort of 2020. And then 2021, Carrie kind of floated the idea and we toyed with it for a little bit. But we officially opened the business January 23. So it was about a year and a half that we took to really get this idea, market research, and sort of just investigating the whole sleep world, which is quite extensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and so because you're coming into the sleep world and the sleep industry, which is, the mattress industry has been sort
Yes.
of, that's changed a lot. And it used to be very much an oligopoly. There were a few big players; they owned the market, and then the door opened, and there was this sort of internet sensation of companies that were delivering mattresses to your doorstep,
Yes.
which was like inconceivable
Yes.
10 years ago, and now it's here. So so there's been this opening of the market. And is that something that's helped you or hurt you because it's now become more complicated to find the channels of distribution, hasn't it?
Yeah. Um, Premium bedding is actually becoming more direct to consumer. So we're about 40 to 50% direct to consumer, which is great for me. And that is growing because people are now just looking online for bedding. In 2014, 15, we started to see that shift with some of the bigger brands, and they were taking hotel bedding direct to consumer at a cheaper price. So they kind of opened the door for me to ship direct, which is great. And then, yeah, mattresses are now adjustable, they're deeper, and we haven't seen any new technology in the fitted sheet. So that's where we come in, that we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, when so the fact that premium bedding people are going direct to consumer, looking online, that's an opportunity for you, right?
absolutely.
And in that world, so it all fits together, like like the opportunity sort of just all fits together very neatly
Yes.
and very tightly. How do you, in a direct consumer world, when you're starting a brand, right? How do you convey the solution, right? Solving a real problem. How do you convey the beauty, and how do you convey the caring? I mean, I know you talked about
Yes.
social proof earlier on, but how do you bring your persona into all of that? Is that hard?
It's not actually because I think it's authentic. I think we as a society have kind of moved away from that. I had a call from a customer. We call it zip line. So I'm available 10 to 7, 7 days a week because I know you don't change your bedding, always 9 to 5. And so people can call me and say, hey, how do you do this? Or I have a question about that. Or am I, putting it on right? I actually FaceTime them and give them a hand, which I love to do. But I had a customer call me and she's like, is this Truce? And I said, yeah, how can I help you? And she's like, oh my gosh, I actually got a real person on the phone. Can you help me with this? And I said, for sure. So she couldn't believe that she was actually talking to someone. And I think bringing that personal touch back into it's not hard. It takes a bit of time, but I think that's the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's certainly an advantage that, you know, startups like yours have
Yes.
over the big players because you can provide that personal attention
That's right.
to a client, right?
Yeah.
And make them a repeat client. I want to get to that repeat business too in a second because you don't really have a traditional consumable. But uh, one of the things, something, a lesson I learned very early on. I learned it from somebody who was a guest on the show. He's become a much uh, more broad influencer, mostly because he's got so much value. His name is Dandapani, and he's a monk, former monk, I should say. And one of the things that he taught me is that there's a significant amount for all of us when we're doing big things, we need to build our will. And one of the ways that we build our will is by doing little things. And little things done with great care and precision um, actually help you build your will to do the bigger things when you need them. And one of the things that he impressed upon us, and it was a group of entrepreneurs, he impressed upon us was make your bed, and every day make it just a little bit better, a little bit different. Just make it a little bit more. I mean, position the pillows a little bit more. So, um, how much of that will, like that precision will, that need to create that thing, has helped you do the bigger lift of figuring out how to bring this product to market?
That's a good question. I think that's sort of partly bred into me. I'm a child of immigrants that came to Canada with nothing. They're Dutch immigrants from after World War II, and my dad started some businesses, and he always said, you know, if you're going to do it right, and if you don't hurry up, you're going to go broke. So it's this constant need to improve, and that's just bred into me. And I think it, if we do something, we do it to the best of our ability. We learn from that, and then we move on. And um, that's just how I operate, and I like the team to work. And it's not always going to go right. And I think sometimes the mistakes are the best learning lessons that we can have versus going right.
Yeah, I love both parts of that. If you don't hurry up, you're going to go broke. That's that's a great entrepreneur credo. It's a great lesson to have learned earlier on, and and uh, and also doing everything to the best of your ability, but also not being. It sounds like you're also not married to it being this one way. You want to hear the feedback and how to
Yes.
make it just a little bit better.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
As you scale, as you continue to grow, are you concerned about not having the ability to be able to hear that client feedback as directly? Is that something that worries you? How are you de-risking that?
Yeah. Think- yeah, I do worry about that. I make sure I read all the comments and chats and every single review that we get. It's hard to get feedback from people these days. If you, a lot of times you don't hear anything, you're doing it right, because people are so busy. But I do appreciate the feedback, and um, that's one thing I'm going to be super laser focused on, is to make sure I have my ear to the pulse of the customer, because if you don't have that, then I think you lose a lot of insight to your future.
Yeah, it is hard to get feedback these days, and even the algorithms have really changed.
Yes.
That's not, engagement really isn't measured in comments and
No.
even likes anymore. It's
Yes.
the number one engagement is share.
Yes.
Sharing is really like the ultimate level of engagement, isn't it? That
Yes.
you're bringing this into your community, and when people do that, that's that's the thing you need to measure, isn't it?
Yes. So repeat purchase for us is super important metric.
Okay.
And we do see that people are buying a second set of sheets for a laundry day, or for their cottage, or for their other bedrooms. So yeah, that's exciting.
And that's where I was going to get to in a second, because uh, and I'm glad that you brought us there about this repeat purchasing thing. I mean, most people don't have maybe they have 4 beds in their house, and then they're saturated, then they're sold. How how do you measure, or how do you try to create great lifetime value in a business where some people have the same sheet sitting on their bed for 10 years?
Yes. Yes. That was one thing in the design that we wanted to kind of keep people in the franchise. So we're working on some new duvet tops, and that's another thing that drives me crazy about this industry is that the pricing is just astronomical. For two pieces of fabric sewn together on three sides, you can pay $300, $400 for a duvet like it cover, and there's no need for that. It's all marketing. So we've tried to make it more economical to replace your duvet top. You can keep the same set of sheets or keep the um, uh, duvet cover and then replace your sheets. So you can purchase other pieces and not have to replace the whole thing. So it's bedding for everyone, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be that expensive.
Ha ha the, thinking about the sharing economy, is that an opportunity for you? Have you noticed that a lot of your clients are and repeat customers are people who operate Airbnbs? Have you been able to channel or market, uh, directly to people who operate rental homes and that kind of thing? Because I would think that this would facilitate cleaning significantly, right?
Yes, yes. It works great for anyone who is a smaller scale Airbnb or guest house, even a small boutique hotel. Some of the bigger hotels, they launder their bedding in these massive drums, and then they put it through these presses. So the zippers aren't conducive to that. So we're trying to figure out a solution for some of the bigger commercial clients. But yes, it is fantastic for changing. It's just the consumer then needs, or the guest needs, a little bit of instruction on how to change that if they're getting the laundry started. But it's super intuitive, so that's not been a problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But my question was more, is there a challenge in marketing to that sort of more elusive market? Because I don't think people tend to market to Airbnb operators as a unique vertical, right? Like that's
Yes.
a different vertical. How do you get to those people that are harder to get to? Have you found have you
Yeah,
found that
so that's
challenging?
where we found trial is really important, and try it once, especially a press outreach or anyone that's interested in using this product. Is once they try it, then they're hooked. So that's a little more expensive marketing tool, but because it is so different, I understand it is a paradigm shift, and I really think you have to experience it to understand it. So
Yeah, that's really interesting.
yeah,
Um, I think that you've got and it's right there, 60-night risk-free trial.
yes,
That's and I think this is the other thing when I was thinking about iteration. Like your iterative cycles are about 24 hours apart. It's not like you do something different and let's try it this hour and let's try it this hour. It's not it doesn't I get the feeling that that's not the way you did your innovation. You really tried it.
yes, yes, and multiple nights, and to really understand why something doesn't work, and then taking a long time to make the solution. So I have stacks and stacks of prototypes in my warehouse of all the different innovations, and I keep them because I think it's important to understand why something is the way it is. So if we ever want to go back and revisit, um, we can, and we do sometimes, um, to explain, to employees why the design is and why it doesn't work doing it another way.
How did you get what were the big challenges you got or you had when you moved from sewing in your home and
Yes.
prototyping to manufacture?
Yes. So traditional bedding is square fabric. And besides the small elastic, it's very simple. This product is not. It's got zippers. It's got stretch fabric, it's got rubber grip elastic fabric or rubber grip elastic, and those aren't easy things to sew. So I actually went to India to work with the master pattern makers and the sewers there so that we could ensure that all the zippers connect, that the stretch band fabric is sewn on properly, because they didn't have experience with that kind of an innovation. So I wanted to make sure that we could manufacture it in the most efficient way possible, but then also, a sustainable way. So that was a fantastic trip.
No, I'm sure it was,
Yes.
for a lot of reasons. So, so I have some experience with um, Indian manufacturer and textile manufacturing in India. Not to say it isn't fantastic, but the quality control standard is challenging
Yes.
because they don't speak the same quality control language that we do.
Hmm.
So I'm interested in, how did you bridge that gap? Did you have experience working with Indian manufacturing, or did you learn your way? What did that look like?
Yeah, I learned my way. That one of the sons lives in the US, so he understands North American culture and how we like to do business. So that was a great bridge, which was very helpful for me. But it was trial and error, and it was, okay, send me the sample. I want to wash it. I want to sew with it. I want to test it. So it was very hands-on, sort of manual process of, I would make something, they would make it, send it back to me. We would adjust the pattern for their facility and machines, and then we would go from there. So again, that's why it took a while to bring this to market. But if I feel, if I don't understand and have control over that manufacturing process, then it becomes very difficult. So the master seamstress part of it was very important.
Yeah, so you were an expert in what you were looking for,
Yes.
and you cared
Yes.
so much
Yes.
about what you were doing that it, like, even talking about being meticulous lights you up. Like, you're not like, that's not usual. Most people is like, "Oh, the details.
Believe
Rise,
me,
rise,
there were
rise,
moments
rise."
I wanted to throw in, the towel and the pillowcase and everything else, but I believed in the solution. I thought, there's got to be a better way.
Well, that's awesome. I love the story. And I know we could talk about it further. This is the point of the conversation where I first of all say thank you to you, and I call out a great friend of the show. 11 years ago, he gave us a paper napkin, which was "What you appreciate appreciates." He suddenly passed away last year,
Um,
and to shout out and to continue his legacy, that napkin that he shared with us turned into something that he wrote as a book, a business. He started a movement around gratitude around the world. So we're trying to pay that forward.
yes.
Um, and so, what do you, and it was John Rulin who gave us that napkin. So is there anyone you'd like to shout out or appreciate?
Yes, my parents, my father, especially with the business, and then my mom. I think she's the essence of caring. So without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't have, I don't think, the fabric to make it through as an entrepreneur, because they're fantastic days, but there's some pretty tough ones too. And just the determination to succeed and the endless support. And I just, yeah, I owe it all to them, really.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.